Колеги, доброго дня. Перепрошуємо за затримку. Розпочинаємо.
We start the briefing of anti-terrorist operation. Speaker, Colonel Andriy Lysenko. Good morning, good afternoon, dear colleagues. Foreign partners confirm aggression of Russia against our state. The Speaker on the political consequences of the Ukrainian conflict, Kristina Zelenkova, stated that Russian involvement is not limited with the delivery of heavy weapons and combatants, but as well is represented at the level of commanders and in the process of political decision making. It is evidential that no civil war in the eastern regions of Ukraine is observed. In order to spread the panics on the territories controlled by Ukrainian government, the separatists targetedly spread information on the preparation to offensive at different directions, and the announced date of the beginning of the offensive is being postponed time to time. The number of armed provocation against Ukrainian militants is stable, and no fact of work of the hostile artillery on our positions not fixed, but there were cases of armored cars were used against Ukrainian soldiers, and hostile snipers are working there. In the territories of separate regions of Donetsk and Lugansk oblasts, a special order of self-governance is being introduced until all the armed group will be withdrawn, and a special governance is being introduced at the territories that are westerner than the contact line according to the Minsk agreements. During the past one day, one Ukrainian militant has died and 5 were wounded. Yesterday we had 2 blow-up of a rail in the occupied territories of Donbass in Volnovakha region and not far from Popasna. The second case blocked one of the not many railroads, and it's not the first case, no casualties though. The investigation of the Konstantinovka tragedy is going on. The first suspect has already been detained according to the court decision, and the representatives of the military prosecutor's office and military law enforcement service stressed that all the people that will be plead guilty will be punished according to the acting legislation. Nobody will avoid the punishment, the responsibility, and it was the words of Colonel Valentin Fedichev. At the same time, Ukrainian combatants undertook to act against all the attempts of heat up the situation in the city. In Podgorne, not far from Dnipropetrovsk, law enforcement units searched the car and discovered 6 hand grenades, 1.6 kilos of powder, and 462 ammunition, different types of weapons. At the same time, it was 3 units of cassette ammunition for Smash. MLS, Ukrainian counter-surveillance discovered and liquidated the network of Russian special forces in Lugansk. The leader of this network was turned in when he traveled to Russian Federation, and after coming back to Lugansk area, the agent exercised all the orders of his authority on information gathering and gathering information on the weapons and number of ATO forces in the area. The information gathered he transmitted to the Russian General Intelligence Administration. He as well involved several informators. Today in Ukraine, demobilization has been started according to the presidential decree of January 14, 2015 on the partial mobilization. In this wave of demobilization, from 18 March till 1st May of 2015, 35,300 militants will be dismissed. We're speaking about the people who were citizens of Ukraine, who were conscripted according to a presidential decree dated 17th March 2014, and Petro Poroshenko stressed out that they are the real heroes that were first to defend the motherland, and the motherland, the state, must create all the necessary conditions for them to be back in the civil life. At the same time, the planned rotation among Ukrainian militants is going on. In the major square of Kirovograd, named after heroes of Maidan, the combatants were warmly greeted by hundreds of citizens of this city, their relatives and their colleagues. In Ukraine, military help from Canada has arrived. In the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, there was handing out of the first part of the humanitarian aid from Canadian government for armed forces of Ukraine, 60 night vision devices. And Minister of Defense of Ukraine, Mr. Stepan Poltorak, assured that in the nearest time they will be sent to the front line. And totally from Canada, Ukrainian army will have 248 thermal infrared visors. The Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine has adopted a resolution on the appeal to the Security Council of the UN and the PASE on the deployment to Ukrainian territory of international operation in peace and security facilitation. Today we will tell you a story of Ukrainian women soldier Yulia Yakimchuk. She is communication officer in the 80th Independent Air Mobile Brigade, and now she's Yulia is sure that army service, this is her future, and now the lady is bravely served and one of the hottest directions in the ATO direction. And the lady is now awaiting by her mom that live in Sumy city, and she is very anxious about her daughter that is now spending her service in the war. And this is not easy time for Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lysenko. In a couple of minutes, we're going to start round table association between Ukraine and EU, implementation of the agreement for the first half year. Thank you.